Hi everybody, John Craig here with Performance Plus Tennis. In today's video, we're going to cover the topspin or kick serve, and we're going to go through the key things you need to learn to hit a good kick serve, along with some drills that are going to help you build that kick serve into your game. But before we get into the lesson, let's just talk about what a kick serve really is. And that is a serve that has a kicking or jumping quality off the court, and that is produced by hitting a heavy topspin on your serve. So the ball has a nice arcing quality to it in its flight. It descends sharply into the court and then it exits sharply, and it has a jump on it because the spin creates action on the ball that when it hits the court, it jumps up. And one of the benefits of that is that certainly the ball dives quicker into the court, which gives you more consistency on the serve, but it can also be a difficult serve to return if your opponent is not skillful at dealing with that spin. So that is why it's a valuable serve to have in your toolkit. So to hit a kick serve, you really have to have your fundamental skills in order on the serve. It would be impossible to hit a topspin or kick serve if you didn't have the key fundamentals and skills developed into your serve. And that really starts with the grip. So you've got to make sure you have a continental grip, and you can even go a little bit on the strong side of the continental grip, which means you go a little bit more towards an Eastern backhand grip. And the reason being is it'll really enable you to skim by the ball and really sweep the ball as you play it. But you've definitely got to be in a continental grip. If you don't have a continental grip, you're really not going to be able to hit that spin or that kick that you're looking for. And of course, along with the grip, you really have to have a stance that sets you up so that you're perpendicular to your target line sideways, and that you're really going to hold this position and really feel like you stay more sideways as you play the ball, okay? Next up, we've got to make sure that we have the appropriate tension. And one of the reasons why recreational players struggle with serving performance is the degree of tension they have in their arm and in their grip when they're serving. So what I always love my students to do is set up and have the racket and the ball in the non-dominant hand, and then just place the playing hand softly on the grip in the tension that we want to play the entire serve with. So at this point in time, I have the feel in my grip that I want, and that's really super soft, so that when my hands separate away to go into my routine, I can feel the weight of the racket head as the racket floats behind me and counterbalances this movement here, okay? At this point in time, I've established the lack of tension and this floating quality in the racket, which is really important right here. And then when I go to serve, I reset and I let the weight of the racket head go back in my left hand again. So I avoid the introduction of any tension before I enter into the serve itself. So the way you set up with your grip, your positioning, and the lack of tension is critical to being able to create a fluid swing that'll allow you to create a lot of racket head speed and then get your spin. And the next thing you really need to do to get a good kick serve in your game is to get into a strong trophy or balance position. And that is a position where you've stored energy so that you're underneath the ball and you can really drive your energy upward into the ball, because the swing has to go up more than forward. So you've got to get down in your legs if you can. And depending on our age and our mobility and athleticism and so forth, a lot of variables, it's difficult for us to get as much leg drive as we see professionals do. But if you can just get some support in your legs so you feel pressure in the court, so you can push your way up, you can develop a kick serve without even having a really great knee bend or leg drive. But you've got to feel as though you're not floating around with your feet as you're hitting, but you've got to feel like once you place the ball up, you're down in your legs and you're loaded up so that you can push yourself up into the ball. That's really, really important. And in the trophy position, again, you want to feel that you could sit in that position. You've got a nice balance that you can literally hold. Even though you're not going to, you should feel like you can sit there because you want to be stable and balanced. And let the weight sit equally on both legs. It's really important that you feel like you use your entire body in a balanced alignment in order to create the power that you need to get on this as well. Next key piece that we've got to get a really good kick serve is ball placement, which for most of us is difficult to do in the first place. And what we want to do when we're serving is we want to try to disguise to some extent what we're doing with the ball. But in some cases, disguise is not as important, because if you can hit a good kick serve and your opponent can't deal with it, it doesn't matter whether they recognize or anticipate that it's coming anyway if they can't deal with it. So I would worry less about the disguise and more about the technique and the production of the kick serve. So in order to do that, if we just look at where we want to be as we relate it to, let's say, a slice serve or a flat serve, that's going to be inside the shoulder, right above you in here is where I'm going to be making that flat or that slice serve. But from here, see, I'm coming around and almost behind the ball to hit it here, okay? And if I do that, I'm not going to hit topspin. So what I need to do is I need to place the ball a little further left so that my swing path actually comes from underneath the ball and up, from left to right. So when you're hitting the kick serve, your swing pattern is going to be quite a bit different than it would be from a slice serve or a flat serve. Where the flat serve and the slice serve, you're going to lead in with the elbow, come from behind the ball and go through the ball this way. On a kick serve, you're going to be having the ball slightly to the left, and you're going to come from underneath and behind, and you're going to go out, and your racket's literally going to go off to the right. And that's going to allow you to really hit up on the ball and create that spin effect on it, okay? So that's a key piece, is how you place the ball. And I wouldn't worry too much about your opponent detecting where it's going. You can't place it too far because then you'd be reaching and it'd be weak, but it's got to be a little left. Probably 6 inches left would be sufficient, maybe a little bit more, so that you can swing up on that ball and get that spin effect on it. Next up is the contact point. And the contact point is also different than a slice or a flat serve. And the key thing is that on a slice or a flat serve, you're really hitting the ball at the top. Okay, your racket is moving more forward and is up at the top for contact. But if your racket were at the top trying to hit a kick serve or topspin serve, you wouldn't be able to produce the spin because your racket needs to be moving from low to high. And this is one of the big challenges of hitting a kick serve, because you have less range to develop racket head speed from the racket drop to contact, because the contact is going to be with the racket more on this position here where it's still rising into contact and then accelerating over the ball. And you have to really get that contact a little bit lower so you can really hit up on that ball. You really can't hit it at the top. You have to hit it below the top where your racket head is moving up. And that's why it's so important that you get into a good loaded position, because you need to be able to create a lot of upward energy into that contact point, which is lower than the flat or a slice serve. And the next key thing is really having a greater understanding of the swing path to hit a topspin or kick serve. And once again, when we're hitting a flat serve, we always go back to the point of reference would be a flat or a slice serve. The swing path is going to be more forward. The racket is going to project more in the direction of your target. On a topspin or a kick serve, the swing pattern is really going to be left to right. And in order to do that, I'm going to stay more sideways. And I'm going to stay more sideways, and my elbow is not going to lead me in forward. It is going to stay behind, so my swing can literally go left to right. So if you stay sideways and you keep your elbow behind you, the actual movement will be this way, left to right. The racket will not project towards your target at all. So it's a little difficult conceptually to figure that out, how that works, but if you get out and practice it, you'll start to understand what really is important is that the ball always goes where the strings are pointing in a contact, but the racket doesn't have to be moving towards contact. It can be sweeping by the ball and make the ball go towards the target and create the spin, but the racket does not need to project towards the target to make the ball go there. So lots of low to high, left to right action for a right-handed player, and that's going to help you get that spin on the ball. So the first drill that I want you to do that's going to help you with your swing path is get right up to the fence and work on swinging across the fence instead of forward. And as I mentioned, with a kick serve, your swing is really going to be left to right from a right-hander. So we're not going to have our racket project through the fence. We're actually going to go in our position here, and we're going to swing across the fence. So the more I'm looking here and going up and going across the fence, you might tip it like I just did, but that's okay. Up and across. That's going to help you really develop the swing pattern. And then when you go back to the court and start practicing, just try to implement that swing pattern and see what happens, because it's really going to help get that skimming or sweeping quality across the ball to produce the spin. The next drill I'd like you to do after you've worked on your swing path on the fence is turn and get yourself in front of the side fence between two courts and work on hitting your serve over that fence. So it's really going to require you to place the ball properly and really swing up on the ball. So at first it's going to be a little difficult to do it, but it's going to help you get that ball so it's up and over. And you'll see that nice kick that you get on it when it's up and over this way. Look at that ball jumping up into the fence over there. Up and over. And it's going to take a little practice to do that. But when you get the feel of doing this and then you take it to the court and start getting that ball to go into the service box, you're going to have that nice jumping quality on the ball. So this is a pretty difficult exercise to do. And for many players, you're probably going to struggle with this idea of hitting the ball up and over this fence, which is pretty high in front of you. If you're hitting it into the fence, it's just typically going to mean that your swing is going more forward onto the ball and it needs to go upward from underneath. Now, oftentimes I'll see players that'll do the exercise and they'll get the ball over the fence, but they do that by opening the racket face and coming underneath the ball and hitting it up. But we don't want to do that either. What you're really going to try to do, which is a big challenge, is you're going to try to get the ball to rise off your racket because of the way your strings grab the ball as it goes from low to high and sweeps up on the ball to get it up, okay? And what you're going to see from your camera angle is that my racket is really going to go up to contact and then right towards the camera this way. So the racket is not going to project towards the target at all. And this takes a lot of practice to do, but with practice, you can get that ball to go up and over. And there was my swing going right at the camera this way, but it still went in the general direction of my target. So after you've practiced working on the motion against the fence, and then you've worked on skillfully getting the ball to go over the fence from close range, now you're going to come to the baseline and you're going to work on your kick serve, and you're going to imagine that that high fence is right in front of you, so that you're really thinking about hitting up on the ball. And if you do that, you may hit some long, you may not, I don't know, but up and over the fence, there it goes. Look at the nice kick on that. There's a nice kick on that, okay? And eventually, you'll spin it and you'll bring it down in the court. But you want to really imagine that you are swinging up and hitting that ball up and over that high fence, letting it take that steep descent down in. It'll produce a nice kick on the ball. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll take these concepts to the court, work on them, implement these drills, practice, and develop your serve and your kick serve into a real weapon. Please give us a like, leave your comments down below. I'll always respond to your comments, and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And if you'd like to know more about how to build a professional quality serve, click in the link in the description down below and get my free mini course on how to develop a professional quality serve, which includes the 5 key things that you really need to master to achieve your full serving potential. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next lesson.